Hey folks, Kevin here with Plenty AI, and today I want to show you how we think about using AI for different sort of use cases that we have inside the app. And I think this is something that applies to a lot of people that are using CSVs and uploading data, that sort of thing. And as soon as you start trying to implement features like this, you realize that how messy the data can get. And this is an example CSV file for locations for stores. And right away, if you're an engineer, you can kind of see that this is kind of pretty messy here. You have the headers are not on the first line. You have spaces here in the data. You have crossroads, which is not a typical type of column, right? This is essentially like where the corner is or where the crossroads are. And so this is kind of pretty messy. You have this like last updated date here, just kind of floating over here. So this is a CSV file, but once you upload this, it's going to be pretty messy, pretty difficult to parse. And as you search around the internet, here's a Stack Overflow on how to parse a CSV file. Really, it requires a lot of kind of user intervention, right? Like you're going to have to know what the headers are. So for example, in this file, you would require the user to kind of put in the headers here. And so I want to show you how we're using OpenAI and a large language model to solve this kind of engineering problem. And the engineering problem is basically taking this CSV file and then uploading it to the database. And if you think about that, you basically have to take the headers, figure out what the headers are, map them to your database headers, right? So they're going to be different names in the database versus here likely, and then eventually take the data and get it into the columns. So we have a relational Postgres database, and so that's kind of how we need to get this data in. So I'm going to walk you through how we thought about this problem and how we solved it. So I'm just going to show you the answer real quick. So here we are. And basically what we did is we asked OpenAI to grab the headers and find the headers in the CSV file. So that was kind of step one. So instead of a user specifying what the headers are, we want OpenAI to figure that out. So how do we do that? So here you can see it asked OpenAI to create a map object to the correct database columns. So what we did was we passed in the top of the CSV, and I actually had to add the number of the line, and I shall show you why in a second. So this is the top, basically 10 lines of the CSV file. And so what you'll notice is let's see if I can get a better view of this. Okay, the header line right here is on line 4. Okay, so the header's on line 4, and the data starts on line 8, I believe, or line 7, sorry, down here. And so all we did was we asked OpenAI, where is the header line start and where does the data start? And also how do you map these headers to the database? And then the other thing I did is I just literally passed in the database columns from a SQL export, right? So right here is just basically like what are the columns for this table, locations table, and it basically gave the data type, the maximum character length, the column name, that sort of thing. And so this is something that OpenAI and the large language models is very good at, basically mapping data from one kind of schema to the other. And here's what it outputted. So we have this CSV map, which basically takes the database name and maps it to the name of the CSV file. So here it's name to crossroad. That might not be the right answer, right? Which we're going to talk about that in a second. Address line 1 to street, that's accurate. City to city, state to state, zip to zip, phone to phone. So that worked. The only kind of questions are the crossroads. If you really want to have the name of the store be the crossroads, so that's unclear. And then basically the other function that we passed in, it called is get the header and the data lines. So it said the header start was 4 and the data start was 7, which is accurate. And that's required because basically when you parse the CSV, you want to know where the data starts, where the headers are, and so you can parse it correctly. Let's see. What you can see here is this is the header that it parsed out, and then eventually I then took the data and with a quick little algorithm basically parsed it to this. So you can see the name. This is the cross street which we saw, and then the address. In this case, the city wasn't correctly added, but it looks like right here it is. Actually, let me take a look at the CSV to see what's going on here. Weird. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why the city unit B for that one. City, where is unit B? Anyway, we'd have to figure out exactly what happened there, but you could see for most of the cases it got it after those first couple of lines. So that is a quick and dirty way that we can use OpenAI to parse a CSV file. And then ultimately what we did is, this crossroads going to name, ultimately that's going to be kind of something fuzzy. It's something that OpenAI, large language models may never get, right? Like this is, do you actually want the crossroad to be the name of the location? I think it really comes down to the user. So ultimately, we have to pass this back to the user to say, yes, this is the correct kind of schema that we want. And then if it's not, then they have to go and update their CSV file with the name, or just get rid of the crossroad if they don't want that. So, I think there are some things that the large language model can take on, but some things ultimately get passed back to the user to try to decide what the correct idea is. So pretty interesting use case. I'm going to post the code of this. We're using OpenAI has this wrapper around function calling for JavaScript that basically will call the function for you in the call from to OpenAI. It'll just kind of call it and then pass the result, which is what we saw here. You'll see the interval messages. It basically calls these functions, which is very cool. So I'll post all this code in the description of the video, and folks can use it. But pretty powerful here that we're using kind of OpenAI on the feature side for the chat, but we're also using it for the app interface and how to interact with customers and make things easy for them. So thanks for watching.